CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I paid a dark web psychic to contact my grandma. Now I'm seeing her, but she's not talking. She's watching. Welp, it is what it is. I was mad, and I never thought I'd be telling something like this. I used to read creepy stuff here late at night, scrolling through r/no sleep, like it was Netflix. Never imagined I'd be posting my own story, but here we are. I'm not trying to convince anyone this is real. Believe what you want. But after what happened, after what is still happening, I just need to get this out. Maybe someone's been through the same thing, or maybe I'm just next. So this all started back in April. I live in New Jersey, not far from Hoboken. I work part-time at a Starbucks and do freelance graphic design in my off time. Pretty normal guy. I've always been into weird internet stuff, iceberg videos, deep web mysteries, ARGs, you name it. But this one night, my friend Dylan dared me to actually go on the dark web. Not just watch videos about it, actually go. We were chilling at my apartment. It was raining hard that night, like thunder vibrating the walls type of storm. One of those perfect nights to do dumb internet stuff and pretend it's all fun and games. Dylan brought over pizza and his laptop, and we connected to Tor using a VPN. Super sketchy stuff, but it didn't seem real. Just some edgy adventure, you know. We browsed through the usual crap. Fake red rooms, hitman for hire listings, disturbing puzzles that just led to dead ends. Then we found something weird. A simple listing on a black background. No weird blood-dripping fonts or anything. Just contact the dead. Real results. No gimmicks. One-time session. $200 in Bitcoin. Underneath, there was a button that said, Open session. You choose who. The site had no name, no info, no terms of service. Just a little line at the bottom. This is not entertainment. This is contact. Now I should have closed the tab, but I didn't, because the second I saw that, I thought of my grandma. She passed away last November. Her name was Ellie. She raised me basically, since my mom worked 3 jobs after dad left. She was the nicest woman you'd ever meet. Made the best hot chocolate. Always wore this lavender perfume. You know how some people just feel like home? That was her, and I never got to say goodbye. She had a stroke while I was out of town for work. By the time I got back, it was over. That always sat heavy with me, so I clicked it. I know, dumb, right? I told Dylan I was gonna try it as a joke, but deep down, I wanted it to work. I wanted a sign, some kind of closure. The next page asked me to type in a name and upload a photo. I hesitated, but I grabbed this old picture of me and Grandma Ellie at a McDonald's in Times Square when I was like 10. She's holding a Happy Meal like it's the best thing ever. I typed her name. Ellie Mae Harper. Hit continue. Then it said, send payment. Session begins in 24 hours. So we converted $200 into Bitcoin using some shady website, sent it to the wallet address they gave, and waited. Dylan left around 1 a.m. I sat in bed, scrolling through TikTok and Twitter, trying to laugh off how weird it all felt. But in the back of my head, something itched. At 2:13 a.m., I got an email. No subject, no sender, just a plain white email that read, "Thank you. She will come to you. Do not speak first. Do not let her in." At first I laughed. Okay, spooky, whatever. But then I noticed the attached image. It was the photo I uploaded, but it was different. We were still at that McDonald's, still smiling, but her eyes were wide open, way too wide, and her face had this faint blur around it, like she wasn't there when the photo was taken, like she'd been edited in afterward. There was something else too. In the reflection of the window behind us, it looked like someone was standing outside, tall, thin, watching us. I tried to reverse image search it. Nothing. I even looked for XEF data, but it was wiped. I didn't sleep that night. The next day felt weird. I went to work like normal, but I kept checking behind me. Every time I passed by a window or mirror, I felt this pressure, like someone was staring just outside my peripheral vision. At one point, I was in the Starbucks back room, counting supplies, when one of the coffee mugs fell off the shelf by itself. Nobody touched it. That night, I stayed in. Around midnight, the temperature in my apartment dropped. Not a normal, "oh, it's drafty" cold. It was wrong. The kind of cold that settles into your chest. I grabbed a blanket and turned up the heat. Then I heard it. The front door. 3 slow knocks. Knock. 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 Not loud. Deliberate. I looked through the peephole. No one. I went back to my room, locked the door, and sat in silence. Then I heard it again. This time, on the bedroom window. I live on the 3rd floor. I didn't look. I just sat there, heart pounding in my throat. Eventually, after what felt like hours, I fell asleep with the lights on. The next morning, everything felt normal again. No weird knocks, no temperature drops. I thought maybe it was a prank from Dylan, but then something really messed up happened. I checked my phone, and I had a new photo in my gallery. It was me, sleeping, in my bed, taken from outside the window. I hadn't sent that to anyone. I didn't take it. The angle showed my entire bed, my body turned toward the wall. But the worst part, in the corner of the photo, near the edge of the frame, there was a hand, a woman's hand, pale and wrinkled, resting gently on the windowsill. I haven't told anyone else this yet, not even Dylan, but things only get worse from here. If you've seen something like this before, if you've used that site, please comment. I need to know I'm not the only one. I didn't tell anyone about the photo. I couldn't. There's something about seeing yourself asleep, from a perspective outside your own locked 3rd-story window, that changes you. You stop trusting the walls around you. You stop trusting your own eyes. For the next 3 days, I didn't sleep. Not properly. I'd nap during daylight hours, wrapped in blankets with all the lights on, Twitch stream playing at max volume, windows covered. I called out of work, said I had food poisoning. They didn't argue. I looked like hell. The photo never left my phone. I tried deleting it. No dice. It would vanish, then show up in a random album an hour later. One time, I found it in my Snapchat memories, even though I never saved it there. Another time, it was in my iCloud shared with Dylan. He swore he never saw it, but he did text me one weird message around 3 a.m. "Bro, WTF, is that in the corner of your room?" I never replied. On the 4th night, the smell started. Lavender. faint at first, like a gentle breeze, but it got stronger, thicker, not like perfume, more like rot, like something trying to be lavender but decaying as it reached your nose. I remember sitting up in bed, heart frozen mid-beat. The scent wasn't coming from outside. It was under my bed. Now I don't know what came over me. Fight or flight didn't kick in. It was more like freeze and listen. I leaned over the edge slowly, ears ringing, and I swear on my life, I heard breathing, not human. It was this wet, gurgling sound, like someone trying to breathe through lungs filled with water. You know that death rattle sound they describe in hospice care? It was that, ragged and cold and desperate, and it was inches from my mattress. I didn't move. I just sat there for 6 hours. I stared at the wall as the breathing continued, slowly fading as the sun rose. When I finally looked under the bed, there was nothing. No scent, no moisture, but the carpet felt warm. The real breaking point came the following night. I was walking home from the 7-Eleven at the corner of 9th and Washington. It was around 1 a.m., clear night, streetlights flickering like they do in horror games. I'd gone out for snacks, chips, Gatorade, anything to keep me from sleeping. On the walk back, I passed by a bodega that's been closed for years, windows all boarded up, graffiti tagging every inch. Except now, it wasn't boarded up. The front window was crystal clean, bright inside, like a living room. I slowed down, confused, thought maybe it reopened, but when I looked through the glass, I saw her, Grandma Ellie, sitting on a floral patterned couch, wearing the same sky blue dress from her funeral. Her hands were folded in her lap, her head tilted forward like she was praying or sleeping, but her eyes were wide open, bloodshot, focused, directly on me. I froze in place, and that's when I realized she wasn't alone in there. Behind her, in the back corner of the store, there were people. Nothings, just silhouettes at first, until they moved. Jittery, like glitching animations, all facing away from me, like their code hadn't rendered fully. I blinked once, and they were facing forward, all of them, faceless, pale, arms too long, hanging past their knees. One had what looked like surgical tubing wrapped around its neck. Another one had nails sticking out of its torso in the shape of a star. I remember this awful metallic grinding sound coming from somewhere deep inside the building, like something turning, gears chewing through bone. Then, in one fluid motion, they all took a step toward her. That's when her head snapped toward me, like a broken animatronic, mouth open, no sound, just this black fluid leaking out from the corners of her lips, eyes vibrating in her skull, her fingers twitching like they were playing an invisible piano. And then she stood up. The lights inside the bodega shut off in an instant. I ran. I dropped the Gatorade. I ran so hard my lungs screamed. My legs gave out halfway home, and I had to crawl the last block. I still don't know how I got back inside. I locked the door, turned off every light, curled into a ball, and waited for the world to end. But it didn't. Not yet. The next day, things escalated. I woke up to 72 missed calls from unknown numbers, all the same area code, 212, Manhattan. Some had voicemails. I shouldn't have listened to them. The first was just static and breathing, normal horror movie stuff. The second was more disturbing. It was my grandma's voice, whispering something over and over. Don't let them bury me in the dark. Don't let them. Don't let them. Don't let them. The third wasn't a voicemail. It was a recording of me in my apartment, talking to her, except I never said any of those words. You can hear me in the audio saying, "It's okay, I'll let you in now. I won't fight this time." And then you hear the sound of the front door unlocking. I went back into the dark web, tried to find the site again. Nothing, not even on cached pages. The URL was gone. Dylan came over again, and we dug into the Tor logs, all scrubbed clean. But that night, Dylan saw her too. We were watching YouTube, some old Luna story to distract ourselves. Then the screen glitched, just for a second. A single frame, not even a second long. It was that same photo, the one of me sleeping. But this time, her hand wasn't on the window. It was inside the room, wrapped around my ankle. Dylan dipped after that. Said he needed to process. Haven't seen him in person since. Now she shows up nightly. I've stopped trying to sleep at all. I see her in reflections, in elevator doors, in bus stop glass. I was on FaceTime with my cousin 2 nights ago, and her face appeared over mine for a solid 3 seconds. He screamed, disconnected, won't answer texts now. But the worst moment, the single most disturbing thing that's ever happened to me, was last night. I walked into my bathroom, turned on the light, and everything was wrong. The walls were covered in lavender stems, thousands of them, twisted, wilted, soaked in something thick and dark. The mirror had been shattered from the inside, and the shards were floating mid-air, not falling, just hovering. And on the mirror, written in what looked like human fat, were the words, "You let me in, now I bring them." There was a noise behind me. I turned. Nothing. But when I looked back in the mirror, there were 4 figures standing behind me, all smiling with her face. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know what I invited, and I have no clue what happens in part 3, but I'm scared to find out. Please, if you know how to close the door, tell me, before something else walks in. I stopped using mirrors. Haven't looked in one since the bathroom incident. Covered them all, even my phone screen. I use a cracked flip phone now, the kind your grandpa would use. No selfies, no reflections, just text and call. But I still see her, not in reflections anymore. No, she doesn't need those now. She's graduated. Now she appears in sound. It started with the TV, the static channel, you know, that gray and black fuzz people forgot existed since Netflix took over. I was flipping through channels just to kill time. Couldn't sleep, couldn't think, and I landed on static. But it wasn't just white noise. There was something underneath it, like a voice, faint, whispering through the cracks. It sounded like her at first, my grandma, but wrong, distorted, like someone playing a tape through rotted speakers, words chopped and reversed, like Tikned, Enoemos, HCT Gunny, Niaga, over and over. Then the voice changed. It got deeper, like something growling through water, a male voice this time, but not human, guttural, almost insect-like, clicking and breathing at the same time. It said one word, not whispered, not hidden, just clear and cold and sharp. Closer. That's when the nosebleed started. First time was while brushing my teeth. I leaned over the sink, and it felt like something popped behind my eyes. A warm trickle ran down my lip. Not your average nosebleed either. This stuff was thick, black-red, clotted, and it smelled like burnt metal. I panicked, ran to get paper towels, but when I looked back in the sink, it wasn't blood anymore. It was teeth, tiny human teeth, baby teeth, dozens of them, some cracked in half, some still with gums attached. I screamed so loud I blew my voice out, but by the time I got my phone camera up, they were gone. Sleep deprivation makes you insane. I know that. I read about it. After 72 hours, you start hallucinating. You see shadow people, hear things that aren't there. But this was shared because I wasn't alone that night. Remember Dylan? The guy who dared me to go on the dark web? He showed up again, but he wasn't right. His hoodie was soaked. He said he walked through the rain, but it wasn't raining. His eyes looked sunken, not tired, but scooped out, like something hollowed him from the inside. He sat down in my kitchen, silent, staring at the floor for 10 full minutes. When he finally spoke, it was the most broken I've ever heard a person sound. She came to me too, but it wasn't her face. He showed me his phone, a video, taken that same night apparently, on his Ring camera. It showed him walking to his door, reaching for the knob, and stopping, frozen, like he saw something on the other side. Then, from the other side of the door's peephole, a face pressed against the glass. But it wasn't Grandma Ellie. It was his own face, melted, like wax left in the sun, skin sagging off bone, lips peeled back into a grotesque grin. His eye sockets were black and empty, but something was writhing inside them. Worms, I think. Tiny pale things squirming like thoughts trying to escape. The figure whispered in a voice that didn't belong to either of us. "Let me in, Dylan. Let me wear you." He slammed the phone down and started sobbing. Full body sobs, like a kid. He kept saying, "It's not a psychic. It's not the dark web. It's not your grandma. It's older. It's older than sound. It hides in memory. It wears your grief." That's when I noticed the burn on his arm. Looked like a brand, fresh, still seeping. A symbol, some kind of circle, with 5 jagged lines stabbing through it. He said he woke up with it, after hearing her voice call him from inside his walls. Dylan didn't last. 2 nights later, I got a video from his number. 1 second long, no context. Just Dylan, sitting in a bathtub full of mud, mouth open, eyes gone, not gouged, just missing, like someone uninstalled them. His hands were folded in prayer, and behind him on the bathroom wall was my grandma's handwriting. I'd recognize it anywhere. Cursive, elegant. She used to write me letters every birthday, but this one said, "I found his roots. Yours are next." Since then, the house has changed. I know how that sounds. Paranoid, crazy. But listen, I know my space. I lived here 4 years. I know how the floors creak. I know where the light from the window hits the wall at sunset. But now, the house shifts. At night, the hallway stretches. I'll leave my room, and the end of the hallway looks miles away. My own voice echoes back at me, delayed by seconds. I hear my footsteps twice. Once, as I walk, and again, following. My fridge runs backwards. I open it, and food is colder after I leave it on the counter for hours. I swear to God, one morning I opened my pantry and found a glass of warm milk already sitting on the shelf, still steaming, with a single lavender stem floating in it. The voices are constant now. They come through every speaker in the house. My TV, my Bluetooth headphones, my old alarm clock I haven't used in years. Even my Alexa whispered one night, "It wants your voice." It's tired of hers. I don't know what that means, but I started hearing my own voice on YouTube. Not a deepfake, not a clip I uploaded. These were full videos, hours long, uploaded to fake accounts with no subscribers. I found one by accident. It was titled, "Ellie Harper's Final Recipe." I clicked it. It was me, reading out instructions, but not for food. The recipe was some kind of ritual, Step-by-step instructions on how to cook a human heart until it sings. I said things I've never heard before, in a tone that didn't feel like mine, like I was being puppeted. The comments were all timestamps. 2:13. Her hand moves 4:44. Listen behind him 7:6. She blinks 10:1. Face in microwave reflection. I watched the whole thing, and I didn't see any of that. But I swear to you, I felt it. Like someone was behind me the whole time, whispering the words I was about to read a second before I read them. The worst night came last week. I was walking past Times Square around 2 a.m. Empty, unnaturally quiet. No tourists, no taxis, no music. Just lights. A glowing graveyard of capitalism. That's when I saw her. Not Grandma. Not the ghost thing. Me. Standing in front of a Forever 21 display, staring up at the LED screen. Same hoodie, same shoes, same nervous posture. But his head was twitching, just slightly, like a video buffer, a glitch. And when he turned around, his face was split down the middle, top to bottom, like someone tried to unzip his skull and stopped halfway. Inside the split, I saw rows of teeth, layered like shark jaws, moving independently. He didn't speak, but I heard my own voice inside my head. Let me out. I want your skin. I want to walk where you used to walk. I don't know what this thing is. It wears faces. It uses memories like clothing. It pulled my grandma out of my grief like a hook baited with guilt. And now it's eating its way forward through every part of my identity. My name is fading. Literally. My birth certificate. The ink is melting. My driver's license photo is just static now. My Facebook account says, user not found. And when I look in the mirror, I see her, smiling, with my eyes. If it hasn't taken me by then, if you find a video of me online, don't watch it. That's not me. Not anymore. There's something wrong with the light in my apartment. It flickers like it's struggling to stay here. Not broken, confused. 1 minute, it's the soft yellow. It's always been. The next, it's that hospital white blue, buzzing like a swarm of dying flies. Sometimes it turns this off pink shade, like the inside of someone's mouth. I stopped trusting sunlight altogether, because now, when the morning light hits the floorboards just right, I can see footprints. They're not mine. They're bare, small, and wet, and they're everywhere, leading from the kitchen into the hallway, up to the bathroom, down into the living room, circling me, like something walks around me while I sleep. Except I haven't slept in 6 days. I boarded the windows with IKEA shelves. I unplugged every power source. No Wi-Fi, no phone signal. I even shut off the water because the voice started coming through the sink. It wasn't whispering anymore. It was laughing, a breathy, childish giggle, echoing up the pipes, thick with mucus. I turned the tap one last time, and something slithered out. A finger, old, wrinkled, nailed to a stem of lavender. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I bit it. I don't know why. It was like I wasn't in control anymore. Something deep in me wanted to taste it, to confirm it was real. The moment my teeth sank in, something flashed through my head. Not a memory. A location. A room. All white. Flickering lights. A table. A VHS tape spinning slowly on an old player. There was someone on the table. It was me. Eyes cut out. Mouth stitched shut. Chest cavity open like a lunchbox, with black mold growing around the ribs. And standing over me was her, Grandma Ellie, but taller, too tall, jaw dislocated, hanging open like a ventriloquist's dummy. Inside her mouth was another face, blinking slowly. It looked like a newborn covered in ash. It smiled at me. I woke up screaming, my mouth filled with petals, lavender petals, drenched in salt water. I vomited into the sink, and what came out wasn't food. It was hair. Long gray strands of matted hair. It smelled like grave dirt. Mixed in were teeth, again. But this time, my own. One molar was still bleeding. I called an emergency dentist. I walked 5 miles to his office with a towel over my head, like a burn victim. Didn't speak, just handed him the tooth. He looked at me and said, "This tooth's already been extracted. It's dead. There's no root left." I touched my mouth. All my teeth were still there. Later that night, the VHS tape showed up. No packaging, no note. Just sitting in front of my door like a corpse on a welcome mat. No return address. I don't even own a VHS player, but I found one in the apartment building's junk room. Hauled it up with shaking hands. Plugged it into the old CRT I keep in my closet for nostalgia. The second I hit play, the TV screamed. Not audio. The screen itself emitted this horrible, high-pitched metallic shriek, like the glass was bending, trying to pull itself inside out. My ears bled, literally, thin streams running down my neck. I was frozen. Paralysis washed over me, like ice. Couldn't blink, couldn't breathe. The tape showed home video footage. Me, 6 years old, in Grandma Ellie's living room. I remembered that day, Thanksgiving. She was making apple pie, but in the footage, she wasn't cooking. She was carving, something small, pale. It looked like a rabbit at first. Then the camera zoomed in. It was a fetus. It twitched. She wasn't using a knife. She was using a silver spoon, the same one we used to eat soup with. And she was humming. That same lullaby she used to sing to me. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Let your bones go down deep. Then she looked at the camera, dead into the lens, dead into me, and said, "You were never born. You were made." The power went out. For 3 hours, I sat in darkness, lit only by the glow of the VHS player, still humming. The footage never stopped. It changed angles, different days, different rooms. Always her, always me, but not memories I remember. Me crying in a bathtub filled with feathers. Me burying something in the garden with a child's arm sticking out of the soil. Me screaming at a wall covered in my own handwriting, carved in blood. She's not dead. She's wearing my name. Then the smell started again. Not just lavender anymore. Now it was rot, wet coins, charred teeth, and one I can only describe as TV static, made physical. I started seeing things in the corner of my eyes. Faces, mouths, rooms that don't exist. Rooms full of cages, desks made of bone. A ceiling that weeps, not leaks, weeps. I'd catch them like snapshots. One blink, and they're gone. Until I blinked, and they didn't go away. For 32 minutes, I was trapped in a room that didn't exist, inside my own home. The walls were made of mirrors, but none of them showed me. They showed versions of me. One with no jaw, just a hanging tongue. One completely hairless, covered in bite marks. One with eyes stitched open, forced to watch the others. In the center of the room was Grandma, naked, skin translucent, blood pulsing beneath the surface like worms under glass. She opened her mouth, but the sound came from behind me, a voice like a wet forest. "You called me. You paid. Now I show you how she died." Then she turned to ash, and the mirrors shattered inward. I woke up under my bed in a puddle of salt water, my skin pruned like I'd been soaking for hours. My fingernails were black, my toes were gone, just raw, wet stubs. They came back the next morning. I tried to go outside. I walked into Times Square just to be around people, noise, life. It was empty, not quiet, just wrong. Every screen displayed one thing, her face, not Grandma, the thing wearing her, and underneath it, flashing in every language, were the words, "We're inside you." People were still there, but they didn't move. They stood still, eyes rolled back, twitching in sync. One man smiled so hard his cheeks split open. Then they all screamed in perfect unison, "She's coming out!" And I woke up back in my apartment. I had never left. The front door was nailed shut, with my own bones. I don't think I'm real anymore. I bleed static. I cough up petals. When I breathe, I can hear her humming inside my lungs. Every time I blink, I see flashes of what she sees. A garden of stitched children. A room made of meat. A chair made of my teeth. She's building something. From me. And the worst part, I miss her. I still remember her perfume. I still hear her laugh. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm too afraid to move, I catch myself whispering back, "I love you too, Grandma. If I'm still here. If I'm still me." The last time I saw my reflection, it wasn't blinking. Not once. It stood perfectly still in the bathroom mirror, mouth hanging slightly open, blood threading out of the gums like silk. Its eyes were dry, wide, waiting, and I realized it wasn't mimicking me anymore. It was watching me, observing, learning how to wear me better. I covered every reflective surface in the apartment. Microwave, picture frames, the black glass on my unplugged TV, even the puddles from the broken sink. Because I swear to God, she's walking through reflections now. I found something in my closet. It was nailed shut from the inside. Wood split outward, claw marks, long deep gashes dragged across the interior, like something had been trying to stay in, not out. Behind the coats, wedged in the drywall, like it had always been there, was a door, painted shut, gray as bone, handle made from braided hair. The strands were familiar. I stood there for hours, listening. It breathed, not loud, not like wind, like a lung, buried just under the floorboards. Eventually I touched it, and it opened by itself. Inside was a staircase, wet, flesh-colored, covered in something I couldn't identify at first. It looked like rotten feathers, but as I stepped down, I realized they were nails, tiny fingernails, still wet with skin at the base, clinging to the walls like barnacles. The deeper I went, the hotter it got. Not fire-hot, breath-hot, moist, dense, like the inside of a mouth. I began to hear sobbing, dozens of voices, gasping through static, like someone trying to cry through a detuned radio. Then I saw them, photos, Polaroids, stapled into the walls. Each one was of me, but wrong, distorted, child-sized, bent backward, skinless. One was just my smile, floating above a crumpled hoodie. Under every photo was a date, some from years ago, some from the future. One was dated tomorrow. At the bottom of the stairs was a nursery. It was built from flesh, no walls, just stretched muscle and tendon, crib made of spine, a mobile above it made from human jaws gently spinning in circles, and in the center of the room, she sat. Not Grandma, not anymore. The thing that wore her, naked, 7 feet tall, hair falling in wet ropes, face split down the middle like overripe fruit, eyes rotting and alive at the same time, mouth stitched into a smile, but the seams were fraying. Her arms were open. Inside her lap was a mirror, and inside the mirror was me, screaming, not heard, just seen, silently mouthing something, over and over. "Don't let her out. Don't let her out. Don't let her." The mirror shouted. She looked up at me and spoke in Grandma Ellie's voice. You paid. Now you're the window. I woke up in my bathtub, naked, covered in ash. The tiles around me were covered in my own handwriting, carved in jagged scratches. If you open the door, close your eyes. The mirror is the mouth. Do not answer if she says your name. And then, you are her now. Since that night, people don't recognize me anymore. I walk down the street and people flinch. A little girl pointed at me outside a McDonald's and screamed until she passed out. The staff tried to call the cops, but I wasn't there by the time they arrived. Not physically, because sometimes I look down at my hands, and they aren't hands. They're gloves, made of me, wearing me, wrinkled, old, stitched along the knuckles with strands of my own hair. Beneath them is something else, something hollow and deep and grinning. I keep finding notes written in my apartment that I didn't write. One said, "The inside of your head is not yours anymore." Another said, "We are nesting in your silence." I hear tapping every night now, not on glass, on bone, from inside the walls. It taps in threes. 1, 2, 3. Then a pause, then laughter. Sometimes I hear my mom calling from the hallway. She's been dead for 2 years. Sometimes I hear Dylan whispering through the vents. He's not whispering to me. He's whispering to something behind me. Yesterday, I found my own obituary online. It said I died last week, strangled. It listed my home address. It listed survived by no one. It had a picture of me, smiling, but not me now. Me, better. Me when I was human. The article ended with one final sentence. He opened the wrong door. This morning, I got an email from that psychic site, the one I used on the dark web. Subject line, "Thank you for your trust." Inside was just one sentence. "You were never supposed to speak first." Attached was a .jpg. I opened it. It was me, standing over my own bed, watching myself sleep, smiling, holding a spoon. That's when I remembered something I'd forgotten my entire life. Something buried so deep in my brain that it took all this to bring it back. When I was 5 years old, I once walked in on my grandma in the basement. She was cutting a photograph with sewing scissors. She was whispering to it, and the photograph was bleeding. I ran. I told no one. The photo she was cutting, it was me. I was made, not born, stitched together from memory, grief, and something else, something beneath grief, a creature of need, a psychic echo of death, a window for the things that don't have mouths. Until now, because I'm not the narrator anymore. I'm the vessel. The puppet's hand has taken the strings. I've stopped dreaming in first person. Now I dream from inside the walls. I see myself blinking at nothing. I smell lavender when there's no air. And tonight, I heard the knock again. 1, 2, 3. Then Grandma's voice, sweet and cracked. "Let me in, sweetheart. I'm almost done with your skin. Not from me. But if you find another version of this post, one where I'm smiling, don't read it. It's not a story. It's a door." I subscribed to a paranormal newsletter from the dark web. The first email had a photo of me sleeping. You are curious about the tittle, aren't you? So, before I get into this, I want to be clear. I'm not a tech genius or some deep web hacker. I'm just a regular guy, 23, working night shifts at a gas station in Buffalo, New York. I'm into horror stories, late night YouTube rabbit holes. You know the deal. Basically, I live off caffeine, Reddit, and paranoia. Anyway, This all started 3 weeks ago. I had a day off, and like an idiot, I stayed up all night watching Here's My Story videos on YouTube. You know the ones. Creepy animations where normal people have freaky experiences. But I wanted something real, like something that didn't feel like just an animation with ominous piano music behind it. Something that actually made my skin crawl. So, I ended up on a Reddit thread called r/Deep Web Encounters. I'd heard of it before, but never really took it seriously. Most of it seemed like edgy teens making up stories about red rooms and hitmen. But there was one comment, and I wish I'd screenshotted it, that mentioned this paranormal newsletter circulating on the deep web. Apparently, people were receiving actual supernatural content, weird photos, audio files, even videos that showed up before the events they depicted happened, like predictive hauntings, premonition type stuff. The post had this super sketchy onion link that you could only access through Tor. Yeah, dumb move number one. So around 4:30 a.m., I downloaded the Tor browser. It looked like a bootleg version of Chrome, with half the screen covered in warning messages about illegal activity and federal tracking. I clicked past it all, typed in the link, and landed on a jet black webpage. Dead silent. No music, no ads, no sidebars. Just a glowing white box in the middle of the screen that said, "Join the Curiosity Corps. We send you what you're not supposed to see." Underneath it was a little field that said, "Enter your email to subscribe." Now look, I know what you're thinking. Why the hell would anyone put their real email into something like that? I didn't. I made a throwaway Gmail. You know, spookyghost1273@gmail.com, or some dumb crap like that. I used it for junk and Reddit accounts, never linked to my real name. I clicked submit. The screen went black, and a single line of red text appeared. "You have been seen." I'm not gonna lie, I laughed. It felt like a low-budget horror game. I figured I'd get some Creepypasta screenshots, or maybe a glitched-out video or two. I shut everything down, cleared my history, and went to sleep with my phone on silent. The next morning, I had a notification on that burner Gmail. Subject: "Welcome to the other side." The email had no sender name. It just said, "Unknown address." Inside was one line of text, a small gift to start things off. Below it was a photo. At first, I didn't even realize what I was looking at. It was pitch black with a weird silvery tint, like it was taken on an old infrared security cam. But after adjusting the brightness on my screen, my stomach dropped. It was me, in bed, lying on my side, mouth slightly open, my iPhone charging next to me on the nightstand. My window was open, which I never do during summer because of mosquitoes. Worse, the photo was taken from inside my room. I shot up so fast, I knocked my chair over. I checked the locks, checked the windows. Everything was shut now, but I swear on my life that window was open in the picture. And the creepiest part? I don't even have a webcam. I don't own a laptop. I was using Tor on my old beat-up desktop with no camera. There's no smart home system. My phone's camera was facing the ceiling on the charger. There's literally no explanation for how that photo could exist. Unless someone was there, in my room. I slept on my friend Zach's couch that night. He lives in an apartment above a laundromat downtown, and even though the place smells like dryer sheets and broken dreams, it felt safer than my room. I didn't tell him the full story, just that I had a weird break-in scare. But then, 2 days later, I got another email. This time, it had a subject line: Look behind you. There was no message body, just another photo attachment. I hesitated before opening it, but I couldn't help myself. It was another night vision image, only this one was not of me. It was Zach, standing in his tiny ass kitchen, pouring cereal into a bowl. The timestamp said 3:14 a.m., which was weird because I didn't think either of us was awake then. I was definitely asleep on his couch by midnight, but when I showed him the photo, his face went pale. He said he'd woken up around 3 to pee and had this really strong feeling like someone was standing behind him. He even checked the hallway, but chalked it up to paranoia. The photo proved otherwise, because in the blurry reflection on the microwave, there was a figure, slender, almost featureless, wearing what looked like a white hoodie with the hood up, but the head looked too tall. The proportions were off. We deleted the email, locked the sender, tossed the desktop in the hallway. I even deleted the Gmail account, but it didn't stop. That weekend, I was scrolling TikTok, trying to distract myself, and I found a video from a girl in Ohio talking about a newsletter she subscribed to that started sending her photos of her dog with the timestamp of the next day. She thought it was a weird prank until her dog went missing exactly when the photo had predicted. The background in her photo, my gas station, I swear to God, the Sunoco right off Route 198. I recognized the ice freezer out front and the hot pizza 2-for-1 sticker on the glass door. I nearly dropped my phone. I DM'd her immediately, asking where she was from and when she got the email. She never responded. Her account was gone within 24 hours, not deleted, gone, like it never existed. I haven't opened another email from them since, but they're still sending them every 2 or 3 days like clockwork, always from unknown address. I blocked, reported, everything, but they find ways around it. The last one came this morning. The subject line just said, "We are not sending them anymore." They are. There was no photo this time, just an audio file, labeled "Don't Sleep Tonight.mp3. Let me know if I should keep posting this. I haven't even told you what was in the audio yet, and what I saw at the gas station security footage the next night. Bro, you don't even want to know. So I didn't. I couldn't. After I got that email, I stared at my screen for maybe 5-10 straight minutes. I didn't even open the file right away. Something about the name, "Don't Sleep Tonight." It felt like a threat more than a title. Like whoever or whatever sent it knew I was alone, that I'd be sitting in my freezing bedroom with my walls thin enough to hear the guy upstairs coughing himself to death and the pipes screeching like some ghost was trying to crawl out of them. But I opened it. Of course I did. I mean, curiosity kills cats, but I'm not a damn cat. I'm just someone who wanted to know what the hell this was and why me. It was a 43-second audio clip. No visuals, no metadata, no geolocation. Just a black screen when I played it on VLC. At first, it sounded like a field recording. Just static and this weird humming in the background. Not mechanical humming, organic. Like breathing, wet breathing, something big, guttural. Then at exactly 11 seconds in, there's this sound that makes my spine lock up. It's someone, or something, whispering in the lowest, raspiest voice I've ever heard. "You smell like the inside of your mother's walls." I stopped the file. Not paused. Stopped. Closed VLC. Took my headphones off like they were on fire. I don't even know what that line means, and I don't think I want to, but it was too specific. Like it wasn't random. It felt personal, like it was said to me. But here's the part that really made my hands go numb. About 10 seconds after I closed the file, my phone vibrated. I checked it. Snapchat notification. From a username I didn't recognize. Ghosts view you. No mutuals, no Bitmoji. The snap, a black screen, with a caption, "Why'd you stop listening?" I swear I didn't even remember adding this account. I went to block it, and before I could, another snap came in. This time, it was a photo of me. Again. But this one wasn't in night vision. It was in full color, taken from my closet. You can see me, exactly how I looked right then, sitting on my computer chair, frozen, phone in hand. Only this time, in the photo, I'm not alone. If you zoom in, and trust me, I didn't want to, but I had to. There's something behind my chair. Bent over, long limbs. Its arms dangle like wet ropes. Its face is buried in the back of my head, almost like it's smelling me. The file auto-deleted 5 seconds later. Snapchat just said, "This snap is no longer available. Account gone." I didn't sleep that night. I locked my door, barricaded it, turned on every light, blasted Spotify until my ears bled. Still, around 4:17 a.m., I swear to God, I heard my bedroom door handle jiggle. Not once. 4 slow turns, like someone was testing how tight the lock was. And then it stopped. I didn't move until sunrise. Next day, I went back to work at the Sunoco. I didn't even tell Zach what happened. I was too tired, too messed up. I needed something normal, something grounded. So I spent most of the night organizing shelves, restocking gum, sweeping the same 3 aisles over and over, trying to forget the sounds, the photo, the thing behind me. Around 2:30 a.m., a dude in a red hoodie came in, skinny, pale, maybe 6 feet 4 inches, real twitchy, kept scratching his forearm, no eye contact, grabbed a Gatorade and walked straight to the counter. I rang him up, didn't say a word, but as he handed me a crumpled 5, he leaned in just a bit and whispered, "You should have finished the audio." I laughed, like awkward laughed, like it had to be a joke, right? But he didn't smile, just turned around and walked out. When I checked the camera footage an hour later, I don't even know why I did. I noticed something that made my legs lock. He never came in. There was no record of him entering the store. Nothing on the exterior cam. Just me at the register, talking to nobody. And when I rewound the footage, frame by frame, there was a 4-second glitch, a flicker of static, just before I took the crumple 5. And in that flicker, if you pause just right, you see something. A shape, not a person, more like a silhouette, tall and arched like a spider on its back legs. But its head, God, the head, was upside down and too wide, eyes like wet marbles reflecting the ceiling lights, and it was looking right at the camera. I didn't stay the whole shift. I told my manager I was sick, went home, closed all the blinds. I didn't even shower, just sat on my bed in the dark, listening. I still hadn't deleted the audio file, and I kept thinking about what that dude said. "You should have finished it." So I played it again. This time, I let it run to the end. What I heard after that whisper at 11 seconds, it wasn't even human. There's a stretch, maybe 15 seconds, of what sounds like chewing, like something gnawing through wet meat. There's muffled screams, like they're coming from under a blanket, not loud, like whoever's screaming knows they won't be heard. And right before it ends, there's this click, like a light switch, followed by my voice, a perfect mimic of my voice. It says, "I'm outside. Let me in. I threw my headphones across the room, heart pounding, skin cold. I didn't even breathe for a second, because as soon as that line played, someone knocked on my front door. 4 slow knocks, like the same rhythm I heard on the handle the night before. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Just sat in silence, heart trying to claw out of my chest. No more knocks came. No sounds. No movement outside. Eventually, the sun came up. I checked the door. No one was there. But there was something on the welcome mat. An envelope. Inside, a single Polaroid of my parents' house, taken from inside their living room. I haven't lived there in 2 years. They're in Virginia, but the timestamp said it was taken an hour before I found the photo. They weren't in the picture. Just an empty living room, except for a figure, sitting exactly where my mom usually sits, wearing her clothes, slouched, head tilted. Only, its face was blurred out, not like camera blur, deliberate blur, like someone scratched it out with static. Underneath the photo, in red Sharpie, "We like her better." This isn't a game. This isn't just deep web crap. This feels like something worse. Like I tapped into something I was never supposed to look at. Something that's not content, not viral. Something that watches you back. I haven't gone outside in 3 days. I sleep during the day now. All lights on, phone off. But they're still sending emails. The last one had no subject line, just a .zip folder, labeled, "You Inside Out." I haven't opened it, yet. But part of me thinks it already opened itself. I opened it. I opened the folder. God forgive me. I opened the folder. It had 3 files, all unlabeled, except for the timestamps in their file names. That's the first thing that messed with me. The dates on each one weren't from the past. They were from the future. Like 2 days from now, 4 days from now, next Friday at 3:46 a.m., exact to the second. The folder wasn't a memory. It was a prediction. File 1, 07-1, 4-2, 5_0, 3.4, 612 am.mp4. I clicked it, and immediately I felt like my soul tried to climb out of my skin. It was a video, handheld, phone quality, a shaky recording, no audio at first, just that haunting hum, low and droning like a broken refrigerator. The screen was angled down, showing a pair of feet, bare, pale, covered in what looked like charcoal dust and tiny, sharp cuts. Then the camera tilted upward. It was me, or something wearing me, my skin, my face, my posture, except the eyes. There was nothing behind them, no whites, just glass, reflective and hollow, like when a dog stares at you in the dark and the light bounces back. The me thing stood in front of a mirror, smiling so hard it looked painful, cheeks stretched too wide. Then it held up a knife, not like a kitchen knife. This thing looked ancient, rusty, serrated like shark teeth, and it whispered something that haunts me even now. "We're already under your fingernails." Then the footage cut, abruptly. No glitch, no fade, just black. I didn't even make it to the second file right away. I started dry heaving, just full body convulsions over the edge of my bed, like my stomach wanted out of me. Every hair on my arms felt like it was being pulled towards something, like static, but alive. I thought about calling Zach, my parents, the cops, hell, even a priest. But I couldn't shake the feeling that if I spoke about this, if I gave it a voice, it would hear me. Number, not it. They're not people, not demons, not spirits. There's something in between, like concepts that learned how to wear human skin. I finally opened the second file the next night. File 2, 07-17-25 underscore 02.02.09 am.mp3. Just audio. Simple. I thought maybe it'd be easier. I was wrong. I was so wrong. It starts with silence. Long, empty silence. Like 20 full seconds of nothing but low background static. Then you hear a child crying. But something's off. The pitch bends too much. Like it's not a real cry. It's a sound someone learned to make by watching videos of children. Like I gone wrong. Then the child says, "Daddy, there's someone under your skin." That's when I lost it, because I recognized the voice. It was me, as a kid. I don't know how. I haven't had audio of myself at that age since before I even had a phone. But it was me. That same speech pattern, that lisp I had when I was 5. Same fear in my voice. And after that, there's this wet, tearing sound, like Velcro soaked in blood being ripped apart. And behind it, layered under everything else, you can hear this whispering, not in English, not in anything I know. It sounds like consonants melting together, like TV static chanting. Then it ends. No warning. My ears were ringing for hours. That same night, I got a DM on Instagram. I had deleted all my socials, but this message came through to an old burner account I hadn't used since high school. The message was just an address, written backwards. I screenshotted it and mirrored it. It was the address to an abandoned daycare in Niagara Falls, which, if you don't know, is only 30 minutes from me. At this point, I didn't even pretend to be sane anymore. I took a flashlight, a baseball bat, and I drove. Alone. Yes, at night. Because I needed to know if this was real, if this was a game, or if I was really in the mouth of something cosmic and hungry. The daycare was rotted, boarded, tag-covered walls. The air smelled like mold, rain, and something sweet, but like wrong sweet, like syrup that had been left to rot in a corpse's mouth. The front door was chained shut, so I went around back. A single window was cracked open. I climbed in. Inside was pitch black, except for the occasional flash from cars passing on the highway. The flashlight barely helped. Everything looked like it had been frozen mid-panic. Plastic chairs overturned, tiny shoes scattered across the floor. A single alphabet poster, half ripped and stuck to the wall with something that looked too dark to be glue. And then I heard something. Not footsteps, not breathing, typing, soft and rhythmic, from the room at the end of the hallway. I crept toward it. Each step felt like it was being heard by something under the floor. I reached the door, peeked in. There was a kid's desk, and on it, a laptop. On, glowing. The screen showed a Gmail inbox, my burner email, logged in, with a new draft open. The subject line said, "We like how you scream." In the message body, words were being typed out on their own. "Open the third file, or we'll send your teeth to your mother's dreams." I ran. I didn't even try to climb out the window. I shoulder slammed through a piece of rotted plywood and fell into the mud. Got in my car, drove 90 miles per hour back home. Didn't stop, not even for red lights. When I got home, I destroyed the laptop, smashed it until the keyboard looked like a pile of dead beetles, but it didn't matter. My phone buzzed. New email from unknown address. Subject: "You don't need devices. You're connected now." File 3, 07-22-25 underscore 12.59.01 am.mp4. I haven't opened it. Not yet. Because earlier tonight, right before I sat down to write this, I noticed something horrifying. Something that broke me in a way I didn't know I could break. I was in the bathroom, washing my face, trying to feel human again. And when I looked in the mirror, I saw my reflection blinking, out of sync, not dramatically, just a millisecond delay, but it was there. I turned my head left. It turned slightly slower, and then it smiled before I did. Just a flicker of a grin, like it knew something I didn't. That's when I realized the third file isn't what happens next. It's what's happening now. It's me, or what's wearing me, watching from the other side of the screen. I don't know if this story will even post, but if it does, and if you're reading this, don't open weird emails, don't click strange links, and whatever you do, don't look in the mirror when you're alone at night, because sometimes it's not you looking back. There's more, so much more, and I haven't even told you what I found under my bed last night, or what's in the mirror. Now, I didn't sleep. Again, I think I'm forgetting how. The reflection thing didn't stop. Every mirror, every screen with a blacked out background, even my phone when it's off, my reflection is lagging behind. And sometimes, it doesn't move at all. Sometimes, it just watches me. Last night, I covered every mirror in the apartment with garbage bags and duct tape. My TV, my microwave door, the tiny chrome toaster. I even unplugged my phone and put it under 3 pillows in the drawer. Like somehow, it couldn't get through fabric. I don't know why that felt safe. It didn't help, because around 3 a.m., I started hearing breathing again, but not like how you hear your neighbor through the wall, or some animal outside your window. This came from under my bed, slow, deep. Inhales that sounded like someone pulling air through layers of wet cloth. Then a pause. Then an exhale so close, I felt the warmth of it on the bottom of my mattress. I didn't move. For over an hour, I stayed frozen on my side, curled like a dead insect, shaking so hard my teeth felt like they were shivering inside the gums. Then the whisper came, not loud, not like the voices in the emails. This one was right against the mattress, like if I peeled back the bed frame and looked underneath, someone's mouth would be pressed against the bottom of the bed, whispering upward through the fabric. And what it said, I'll never forget it. I watched you be born. You opened your eyes too early. That's why you see us now. I screamed. I don't care how stupid I'd looked. I bolted upright, nearly snapped my neck on the headboard, jumped off the bed, and slammed the lights on. Nothing there. No one. I dropped to the floor, yanked the sheets away, shoved the mattress up. Under my bed wasn't the hardwood floor anymore. It was dirt. Just dirt. Damp, black soil where my floor used to be. And in the center of it, something was slowly sinking into it. It looked like a human arm, pale, thin, with a faded Apple Watch on the wrist. And the face on the screen was me. But the wrist, it wasn't mine. I lost it. Like, full psychotic break style, lost it. I backed into my wall, grabbed my bat, and just swung at the bed until it collapsed. I didn't stop until my hands were blistered and bleeding, and my mouth was filled with a taste of metal. I called Zach. Finally. First time in days. Told him to come over. No details. Just, I need you here now. Bring fire. Or a priest. Or both. He showed up 20 minutes later, wide-eyed, holding a bottle of vodka and a kitchen knife. Not helpful. But it was someone. We tried to lift the bed frame off the dirt. It was fused, like it had grown into the soil. Every bolt was rusted, wood soft and organic, like it had veins. One of the screws actually twitched when I touched it. Zach didn't believe it until it blinked. That's not a typo. One of the screw holes blinked. It had a tiny eye inside it, wet, glossy, fully blinking. Zach threw up in my sink and started praying. I just sat there, laughing like a lunatic, because what the hell else can you do when your IKEA bed is watching you? We packed what we could, left, drove to his place. His Wi-Fi was out. Cellular was dead. His laptop screen kept flickering with this grey, static-filled face, like a deepfake made from broken pixels and war footage. That night, we both tried to sleep in his living room. Lights on, no phones, no mirrors. And around 2:13 a.m., he woke me up. Not Zach, the reflection. I hadn't noticed it before, but the TV was off. And in the black screen, I could see the couch, me laying on it, and my reflection sitting up. It turned its head, looked straight at me, and smiled. The TV didn't make a sound, but when Zach woke up an hour later, the words, "You inside out," were carved into the wall behind the screen. No knife marks, just carved, as if the drywall itself had been opened and folded back. The next morning, I finally opened the last file. File 3, 07-22-25_12.59.01 am.mp4. It was 42 minutes long, and it was me, wearing my clothes, sitting in my apartment. Except, I wasn't moving, just sitting, staring straight ahead. Behind me, the entire room is morphing. Objects melting, walls stretching, a hand growing out of the ceiling like it's being birthed from concrete. At the 24-minute mark, the version of me starts to speak, but it's not talking to the camera. It's talking to someone sitting across from me. You never see them, but the voice, oh God, the voice it responds to. It's not words. It's a sound like skin being pulled apart slowly, rearranged into sentences. It speaks through wounds, and what it says to me is, "Wear yourself until the seams scream." And I nod, just calmly, like it makes perfect sense. I blacked out after watching that, like literally, my body gave out. Zach said I started convulsing and muttering something in a language that sounded like a tape played backward underwater. When I woke up, there was a burn on my chest, like a handprint, but upside down, and it wasn't hot. It was cold, so cold that the skin was frostbitten, in the shape of a hand with too many fingers. I tried going to the hospital, didn't make it, got to the parking lot, and my car radio turned itself on. It was playing the audio from the first file, except now it had my mother's voice layered into it. She was crying, saying my name, saying, "Why did you let them in, baby?" And the thing is, she's been dead for 2 years. I don't know what the newsletter really is. It's not a subscription. It's an infection. You don't read it. You join it. It mutates you, warps your timeline, sinks its teeth into the folds of reality, and makes you the story. I'm not who I was anymore. I'm watching myself from the outside. I don't dream anymore. I replay memories from people who aren't me. I remember dying in a house I've never been in. I remember killing a version of Zach that had no skin. I remember being born from a mirror during a thunderstorm in Moscow. I don't speak Russian, but I remember the storm. There's one last thing. The emails have stopped, but I found a piece of paper under my tongue this morning, folded into a tiny square. It said, "You are ready. Now show them. Show them what's under their own beds. If you've made it this far, you're already infected, and they're going to show you your file. Just remember, don't look at yourself in anything that reflects, because when you blink, it won't." There are no more emails. There is no more me. Not in the way you think. Not in the way you're used to. Everything that made me human, my memories, my voice, my body, my sense of being inside myself, has been peeled off, repackaged, and worn like a costume by something else. Something that knew my shape before I was born. And now, it's watching you read this. The paper I found under my tongue. That thing that said, "Now show them what's under their own beds." It wasn't a threat. It was an assignment. Because when I tell you what I saw beneath mine, when I tell you what crawled out of the floor like bone-white fingers, dragging a wet sack of teeth behind it, you'll understand. You'll understand that this wasn't just my story. This was the first transmission. This was how it begins for you. Let me tell you about the final night, the last night I'll ever remember as me. It started with a video, airdropped to my phone at 3:12 a.m. My phone was on airplane mode, no Wi-Fi, no SIM. Still, it pinged. The video was titled, "You Look Better in Me." There was no thumbnail, just a black box. When I tapped it, the screen flickered once, and then, without warning, the phone shut off completely. Battery full, no sign of life. Then I heard it again. The scraping, the skin against wood drag. The thing, you know the one from beneath the bed, the one that whispers through floors and wears voices like jackets. Only now, it wasn't crawling, it was standing. I didn't see it directly. I didn't need to. You don't see it the way you see a person. It's like your brain avoids forming a full picture of it, like your eyes try to protect you from the shape of it. So you just feel it, like heat rising in reverse, like air pressure screaming silently inside your ears. And then it whispered in its reverse language, wet syllables dragged through a wound. And in my head, it translated as, "It's time to unzip." You ever see what it looks like when a human body peels wrong? Not like movies, not like surgery. I'm talking about the psychic kind of peeling, when something climbs into your skin, settles behind your eyes, and starts using your muscles like a child pulling puppet strings made of nerves. It doesn't cut you open. It asks your body to open itself. And it does. My spine arched backward, not from pain, from permission. My chest made this wet, tearing pop, like when you twist open a bag of soaked bread. My teeth, they didn't fall out. They walked out, one by one, down my throat. My eyes rolled back, and when they came forward again, I saw the room from two places at once, from inside myself and from behind me. I was the reflection, and I was watching myself wear me. That's when the room changed. Everything began folding in. My walls creased like paper dipped in oil. My ceiling bubbled like skin under boiling water. And the windows, they didn't break. They inhaled, sucked inward like lungs gasping for their first breath in centuries. And through those glass lungs came them. I don't even have a word for what they were. They didn't walk. They didn't float. They just entered, like water seeping through a crack in your thoughts. Long bodies with too many knees. Faces that looked like someone held a candle to a photo of your grandmother and let it melt, and then wore it over something worse. They circled me, not to threaten, to witness, because what I was becoming wasn't new. It was next. Do you know what it feels like to remember something that hasn't happened yet? Because that's what started next. Memories began injecting into me, foreign moments in familiar skins. I remembered the final breaths of a gasping man in a Tokyo bathroom stall. I remembered being locked in a freezer at a McDonald's in Copenhagen while something whispered my name backwards through the ice. I remembered laying in a grave, not dead, just patient, beneath a Waffle House in Oklahoma. And in all those memories, the same thing showed up. A newsletter, different names, different forms. In Tokyo, it was a flyer in a public bathroom stall, written in lipstick that said, "Open yourself to us." In Oklahoma, it was carved into the ice in a drink machine. "They want your outline." And in that freezer, right before the vision faded, I saw the phrase, "You inside out," burned into the frost, with a smiling face drawn in blood, stretched too wide. My smile. I woke up hours later on the floor. Zach was gone. Not just out of the room. Gone. As in, no record he ever lived. His apartment was empty, no clothes, no dishes, no dust where his TV used to be, no Wi-Fi name, no phone number. But on the wall, written in something thick and shiny, "You looked into the mirror too long." And I understood, finally. That was their doorway. The mirror. Because reflections aren't just about light bouncing off surfaces. They're about versions, possibilities. And when you stare long enough, when you try to find yourself in too many screens, too many cameras, too many selfies, too much gloss, you weaken the version of you that is real, and they slide in, not all at once. Number, they take their time, they hollow you like fruit, they sip from you, slowly. So now, here I am, writing this, but it's not for me, it's for you, because you're already infected. You've read this far, you followed my outline with your mind. Your neurons have mapped the path I walked. You've heard the phrases, seen the images in your head. You've already made space inside yourself. And soon, they'll thank you. In fact, maybe they already have. Go ahead, check your inbox. Maybe it's empty. Maybe you see it. Unknown address. Subject. We saw you reading. You look delicious. Or maybe the infection's already deeper. Maybe next time you pass a dark window, you'll pause and see something facing the wrong way, wearing your eyes like masks. It won't blink, because you just did. You're writing it now. Every time you look at your reflection and wonder, is that really me? They get closer, and when you finally ask out loud, they answer.